A city divided, understanding homelessness in Phoenix. Phoenix, the sun-drenched capital of Arizona and the fifth largest city in the United States, is a metropolis of stark contrasts. It is a city of rapid growth, economic opportunity, and relentless summer heat. Yet, it is also a city where the crisis of homelessness is both a persistent human tragedy and a deeply contentious political battleground. While recent data from the 2026 point-in-time PIT count offers a mixed picture of progress, the fundamental challenges of funding, housing affordability, and public empathy continue to shape the lives of nearly 10,000 unhoused individuals across Maricopa County. The numbers, a mixed narrative of progress and stagnation. The 2026 PIT count, a federally mandated one-day census, revealed that the overall number of people experiencing homelessness in Maricopa County remained nearly flat, decreasing by just 8 people to 9,726. In the city of Phoenix, the total increased slightly by 60 people, reaching 7,335. While this near stasis might appear as a lack of progress, it masks a significant shift in how people are living. For the first time in recent years, more than half of Phoenix's unhoused population, 55%, were sheltered on the night of the count. This represents a 15% increase in the sheltered population and a nearly 13% decrease in unsheltered homelessness within the city. City officials, such as Rachel Milne, director of the Office of Homeless Solutions, OHS, view this as a positive indicator. We had 55% of the people experiencing homelessness in Phoenix on that day that were in shelter, which is huge. That is exactly what we've been working toward the last several years, Milne stated. This progress is largely attributed to the city's strategic investments in new shelter capacity, the creation of alternative living spaces, and expanded outreach efforts since the launch of OHS in 2022. However, the data also shows that the total number of people experiencing chronic homelessness has increased by 88% since 2020, highlighting the deep-rooted nature of the problem. The Zone, a case study in containment and dispersal. To comprehend Phoenix's current strategy, one must understand the legacy of the Zone. This was a sprawling, 15-block encampment in downtown Phoenix that, at its peak in 2023, housed over 1,000 individuals in tents along sidewalks and streets. The conditions were dire, marked by violence, open drug use, and sanitation crises that infuriated local business owners and residents. After a successful lawsuit from nearby businesses, a court order forced the city to clear the zone by November 2023. The city's response was to dismantle the encampment, offering many of its residents shelter beds or spaces at a newly created Safe Outdoor Space, SOS. The dispersal of the zone had complex and lasting consequences. For business owners like Joel Copland, who owns an art gallery in the area, the cleanup brought significant relief. You couldn't walk down the sidewalk. It was dangerous. It is better now, and I can see that they're trying to do something, he told 12 News. However, the cleanup simply scattered the crisis. As Amy Schwabenlender, CEO of Keys to Change, a local service provider, explained, it really has disrupted in a way, though, the ability to keep people connected to services. Now, people are dispersed across the valley, and more encampments are in more places. A 2025 follow-up found that while the immediate area of the zone was improved, The overall unsheltered population in Phoenix had climbed by nearly 40% from 2024 to 2025. 2 years after the cleanup, outreach teams still counted more than 300 unsheltered people living in the former zone area. The unseen crisis, environmental hazards, and vulnerable populations. Phoenix's unique geography and climate create a particular life or death dimension to homelessness. The city is famous for its extreme summer heat, where temperatures consistently exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit, creating a prolonged and deadly season. For the unhoused population, who lack access to air conditioning and are exposed to the elements 24/7, this heat is not merely uncomfortable, it is fatal. A 2023 study highlighted that older adults experiencing homelessness are especially vulnerable to these environmental hazards. In 2023, Maricopa County documented 645 heat-related deaths, with people experiencing homelessness accounting for 45% of them. The city has established the Heat Relief Network, HRN, a system of cooling centers operated by community-based organizations, but advocates argue that these resources are insufficient and often fail to address the root causes of environmental exposure. The SOS provides some respite, but the sheer scale of the problem continues to overwhelm the city's resources. Another vulnerable group is families. While the pit count showed that most families were sheltered, the number of families experiencing homelessness increased in 2026. The expiration of pandemic-era federal funding led to the loss of about 1,000 family shelter beds across the valley. Advocates like Austin Davis of AZ Hugs are calling on the state to declare an emergency, pointing to a family housing hub waitlist that can extend up to 10 weeks. The stories of fathers like Jonas and Christopher, who are forced to keep their families in hotels while they wait for shelter, illustrate the deep insecurity faced by unhoused families. The funding crisis, the expiration of one-time COVID-19 relief funds, ARPA, has created a precarious funding gap, with Phoenix set to lose roughly $70 million. While the city has added more permanent beds, the loss of short-term funding has forced service providers to scramble for donations. More alarming is the threat of federal policy changes. A 2025 executive order from the Trump administration proposed major cuts to long-term housing support and a reallocation of funds toward punitive measures, a move that experts warn could trigger a massive surge in homelessness. One advocate predicted the cuts could cause a 35 to 50% increase in homelessness, potentially putting 3,500 to 5,000 more people on Phoenix's streets by early 2026. Conclusion: a defining moment. Phoenix stands at a crossroads. The city has made tangible progress in getting more people off the streets and into shelters, demonstrating that strategic investment and innovative solutions like the SOS can make a difference. However, this progress is fragile. The success of the shelter-first approach is threatened by a coming storm of expiring federal funding, an acute lack of affordable housing, and a political climate that increasingly favors criminalization over compassion. As the city moves forward with its new strategic plan, its ability to sustain and build upon its recent gains will be a defining test of its resilience and its commitment to its most vulnerable citizens.